another question coming in about the director of Shazam saying he's done with superhero movies. Check it out.
Hey, John and crew. This is Darnell Pitts calling from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I had a question for you guys. I wanted to get your opinion. I was reading the Twitter feed of director, Shazam 2, David Sandberg, and he said that he's shocked at the Rotten Tomatoes scores and is looking to get away from superhero movies and go back to horror. But I also read in Variety a while back that Eternals director Chloe Zhao was interviewed and asked if she was interested in coming back for Eternals 2, and she said, no comment. So my question is, with the bad taste left in everyone's mouth from Phase 4, and most recently Ant-Man, and now with Shazam performing the way it is, do you think directors are shying away from comic book movies? And would this be a problem getting quality directors to hop on board for future projects, whether it be MCU or DCU? Let me know. Let me get your thoughts. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, so one of the, I am really saddened by the financial, look, there's no sugarcoating it, failure of Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods. Because I think David F. Sandberg made a really good movie. I didn't like it as much as the first one, granted, but I was entertained. I had fun. I smiled. I laughed. There were some good emotional moments. They made a good movie. And I don't know, the critics really loved the first one, gave it a 90%. 90% of the critics liked the first one. And I don't know where the second one is. What is it, at the 50, 48? I don't know. Taylor, can you look that up for me? Where does Shazam 2 sit at the critic rating right now?
69.
Oh, I hope. Let's see. Oh, the tomato meter is 51 and the audience score is 87.
So 51. Okay, so we can still say a majority of the critics like Shazam 2. There we go. But I mean, yeah, it kind of crushed. And David F. Sandberg, the director, he came out and made some comments that I think are deeper than what you might first think. So let's go over and look here what he actually said. So he said this. On Rotten Tomatoes, I just got my lowest critic score and my highest audience score in the same film. I wasn't expecting a repeat of the first movie critically, but I was still a little surprised because I think it's a good film. And he's right. You're right, David. It is a good film. Anyway, he went on to say this. As I've been saying for a while now, I'm very eager to go back to horror. Because remember, he did that fantastic film, Lights Out. I love both. I'll say this. The greatest short film I think ever put on YouTube. Lights Out, the short film.
And then, that led to it.
Then a studio said, that's great. We're going to give you money to make a full-length feature film out of it. And he did a great job with that. Anyway, right now I'm very eager to get back to horror as well as trying some new things. After 6 years of Shazam, I'm definitely done with superheroes for now. I think you could probably take out the for now part. I don't think he's going to come back because
I think he's going to Star Wars.
maybe
Those fans are much more welcoming.
much more friendly because
So
listen,
sweet.
he's talked about the fact that it's been the fandom in comic book movies is awful. And he is one of the latest recipients of it. Like, he went on to say this. He said, one thing I've been looking forward to is disconnecting from the superhero discourse online. A lot of that stresses me out so much, and it will be nice not having to think about that anymore. And he's not wrong. Like, for some reason, I've mentioned this before, but for some reason, like, comic book movie fans, Star Wars fans, Harry Potter fans, fans of almost anything, inside or outside of movies, the problem becomes when fandom becomes tribal. And then once it becomes tribal, tribes become defined by what they hate. It seemed like for a while, we don't get the DC versus Marvel stuff as much anymore, but it was very much like if you were a DC fan, then you, by creed, had to hate anything Marvel, and vice versa. If you were a Marvel fan, you had to get a tattoo that said, fuck DC, right? It became tribal. And I still remember, like, years ago saying, you know what, I really like this movie from DC, and I really like this movie from Marvel. And people would say, stop sitting on the fence, Campea. Stop sitting on the fence. Pick a side. I'm like, how fucking stupid are you?
Yeah, pretty stupid.
Do your parents know you got off your leash?
No.
Like how dumb do you have to be to have that kind of mentality? But that tribalism has evolved, right? Like whenever we talk about Kathleen Kennedy, look, two things about me are true when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy. I have a tremendous amount of respect for her as a producer. She has a Hall of Fame producing career. Steven Spielberg's called her the greatest producer of all time. I think he knows something about that. And I think she's done a lot of great things. And yet at the same time, I also don't believe that the experiment of her running Lucasfilm has worked. And I've been saying for a few years, she needs to go. I think for the good of Lucasfilm and for the good of her own career. I think she'll be much happier and have a lot more success to something else. So I can both really respect a lot of what Kathleen Kennedy has done, and I can say, but she's got to go. She's got to go. In which, of course, then people write to me, pick a side, Campea. So the tribalism has gone on to, like, now, if you're, say, anti-Kathleen Kennedy, you, by creed, have to hate everything she does. And so when I bring up, well, listen, man, some of the things she's produced have really worked out well. Those successes had nothing to do with her. How stupid are you? We can't collectively criticize, because I'm one of the ones criticizing. You can't collectively criticize the things that don't work and blame it on her, but then pretend like the things that do work, but that had nothing to do with her. So it's like, it's tribal. If you are a Kathy Kennedy needs to go person, you have to say anything she has ever done sucks. You can't have any common sense, right? And it's kind of made its way into the other stuff of comic book films now. It's like, well, wait a minute. I like the old DC. I don't like that they're not doing the old DC anymore. Therefore, I need to hate everything the new DC does. Or I like the old Marvel. Therefore, I have to hate everything the new Marvel does. Or it's just this blind, idiotic tribalism is affecting things. And now it's making a lot of directors want to have nothing to do with the comic book genre anymore. We go back, we talked about this the other day. Tom Cruise collaborator, Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise's favorite director to work with. He's talked to, now this was about Star Wars, but Christopher McQuarrie was asked, hey, you ever going to do a Star Wars film? And Christopher McQuarrie very famously talked about, are you kidding me? No, I've seen the fans online. I've seen how the Star Wars fans online act. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And now we're hearing things like Academy Award winning directors, like what she did with Eternals, I thought was something Marvel desperately needed. She made a very different kind of Marvel film. And I think what Chloe Zhao did with that movie, I think was really, really cool. I mean, I don't think it was the greatest Marvel movie they've ever made. Don't get me wrong, but I think what she did with it was great. But the online fandom is like, yeah, I don't think I want to be a part of this anymore. David Sandberg is now talking about, hey, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting away from the superhero fans. I'm really looking forward to getting away from that superhero online discourse. I don't want anything to do with it. And you add that, this is a growing problem because you add that to the other directors, some high profile, well-respected directors who talk about never wanting to do comic book films, not necessarily because of the fandom, but for other things. Ridley Scott apparently has said that he's been approached to do several comic book films, will always turn them down, he says. They're not for me. He doesn't insult comic book movies. He just says, hey, they're not for me. Right? Which is the right answer to say. But he's like, I'm never going to do comic book movies. Martin Scorsese, one of the most celebrated directors of all time, has talked about how, well, comic book movies aren't cinema, all that kind of stuff. I disagree with him, and I think he should have put it better. But he's spoken out against this. Francis Ford Coppola has spoken out against comic book films. Alejandro Inarritu, the director of Birdman, The Revenant, Academy Award-winning director, he said this. He went a little more harsh. He said, I would be terrible at making a superhero film. I think there's nothing wrong with being fixated on superheroes when you're 7 years old, but I think there's a disease in not growing up.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some bullshit coming out. That's an ignorant thing for him to say. But still, Academy Award winning, iconic director. So you take all these big directors who talk about comic book movies. Now you're even getting directors who have worked in comic book movies and saying, yeah, I'm looking forward to saying, wait, here's what's happening. And we speculated about this a couple of years ago. The fandom itself is scaring off the best people. Because when a normal filmmaker makes a normal movie and it doesn't turn out great, people go, oh, I didn't like that one. Okay. And then everybody moves on. Mm-hmm. When a period piece comes out that's not that great, people go, oh, that one wasn't that great. And then they move on. When a movie about a drug-addicted mother of 4 living in Tulsa, Oklahoma comes out and it is not that good, people go, oh, that one wasn't that good. Okay. And then everybody moves on. But oh my God, when it happens in a comic book movie, it's like the fandom believes it's now open season. We can attack everybody involved. We can disparage them as much as we want. We can try to beat them down as much as we can. And all you've done now is made them never want to be involved in it again. And you made all the other directors standing around looking at what we as fans have done. And I say we, because every single person watching this video and in this room has been guilty of this to some degree or another. We all have to own up to it.
Mostly Ray.
Yeah.
Mostly Ray. The algorithm Ray is mostly responsible for this. But I mean, we are now starting to see that come to manifest. And now upcoming talented directors are not only going to see the terrible experience that some other people have had making comic book movies, they're going to see at these legends, these icons, Alejandro, Martin, Francis, Ridley, all talking about, yeah, real directors won't direct those movies. And at the end of the day, as we see the talent pool for filmmakers, up and coming filmmakers and established filmmakers dropping and maybe not wanting to get involved in these films, we as fans are going to have nobody to blame but ourselves. Because instead of just approaching a movie that we didn't like, say, that was too bad. I didn't quite like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Jonathan did, but I didn't. But guess what? I didn't go, fuck Peyton Reed.
And ants.
And ants. Get me a magnifying glass. Fuck all ants. It's just, yeah, okay, but didn't like that one.
This is a movie for ants?
Let's just, nice one. I like that Zoolander reference. It just go, hopefully I like the next one more. I mean, this tribalism has really affected things. And again, I think this one little quick throwaway tweet by David S. Sandberg, I think is representative of a deeper systemic problem. And we are only, I think, beginning, or maybe we haven't even really started to feel the effects of it. But in the next couple of years, we're going to get lesser and lesser directors have to take over these comic book movies and newer, fresher, inexperienced directors are going to have to take them over because the good ones, the proven good ones, ain't going to want to have anything to do with us. Anyway, Chris, David S. Sandberg, who I think is a terrific director. I love Lights Out. I love his Shazam movies. That's just me personally. But you're hearing his comments. What do you take away from them?
It's understandable. I get it. And I'm sure everyone in this room gets it. Some of you at home get this. It's really exhausting to talk about and defend why you like a movie or think it's good sometimes. And that's just for us on the fan level. To be somebody who's part of the actual process here, that has to be so exhausting, so emotionally and mentally draining to put, your blood, sweat, and tears into something because everyone wants a movie to be good. Everyone really works hard on it. And then to have people just trash you in your work. Because I stand by, this is a fun movie. It's a good time. Gail Simone did a great tweet this week of or you could just enjoy this fun movie. Maybe think about that instead of just bitching about it online, right? And so I completely understand this. And it's just such a shame to see fandom move to this kind of behavior. We've seen it so much with Star Wars. We see it with Marvel. We see it with DC. And it doesn't matter if you don't like something. It truly doesn't matter, right? Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, but yours doesn't have to make you behave like one. So I don't understand why we can't just, go, hey, if you enjoyed this, love that for you. I didn't enjoy that. And I know obviously on this show, part of what we're supposed to do here is talk about why we do or do not like things. I get that. So this can sound a little hypocritical. But when it comes to actually cornering the people who are behind something.
We don't go after them on a personal level.
I'm not going out and spending my free time tweeting people going, this is why I think you suck. What a horrible waste of your time. Go outside, touch grass, make a friend, play with a dog. There are so many better things to do. And so I'm disheartened to see this, but hopefully he'll be playing in a sandbox that he enjoys much more for a while.
I can't remember what movie it was we were talking about, but there was a comment that came in on our channel yesterday where somebody wrote, I'm trying to remember what movie it was. I can't remember, but I guess I had mentioned there's a movie that I like, right? And somebody left a comment, man, when I hear Campea say he likes X movie, it makes me nauseated. And I was like,
it does.
If somebody said, and I responded to that when I said, listen, I said, if somebody just saying they like a movie makes you feel nauseated, you need to reevaluate your life choices.
You get
You
too
need to
much time on your
reevaluate your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if like somebody saying they like something that you didn't makes you physically feel nauseated. It's like, that's the problem with fandom right now. Like, listen, there's lots of things that come out. I didn't like Cocaine Bear. I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But guess what? I'm not going to run around and say, what was the director of Cocaine Bear's name again?
Elizabeth Banks?
I'm not going to go, oh, fuck Elizabeth Banks. Now, I'm a huge fan of Elizabeth Banks. I don't think she's a terrific director.
Friggin' love Cocaine
I'm not
Bear.
going to run around and bash on her. I'm not going to run around and bash on the people who were involved in making Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, it's okay to be critical. It's okay to say, I didn't like this particular one, and here's why I didn't like it. But at any rate, that's a whole nother ball of wax. Question is for you guys. We're hearing some directors, including the newest one, David S. Sandberg, who's kind of saying they want to separate themselves from the superhero genre and the fans that follow them because it's not the healthiest place to be. What do you think about that? What could the long-term repercussions be or not be, however you see it? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.